We're talking hardball, the bull and the better. Talking hardball, part of Betting Weekly. Handicappers, they're all in the know. Pick some winners and then we say, let's go. So come on, it's time to watch.
Live on a beautiful Friday. How could it not be beautiful on a Friday? Although, you know, in the profession we work at, it doesn't really matter what day of the week is. I'm Adam the Bull. He's Chris Macero. And it's the first time we're working together. Apparently, I couldn't tell the difference between a Boston and a New Jersey accent. And now we've lost Chris. So, you know, and now he's back. Chris, how you doing today? Thanks for partnering up with me today. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. It's going better than OKC's doing. So I'm excited to talk some baseball today. And We've got a game kicking off in about 20 minutes. So maybe we can find a winner early.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we jump into that, do you think OKC's winning tomorrow, Sunday, or no?
I mean, they kind of own it at home, but I'm telling you right now, I mean, you cannot trust this team, especially laying 8 points. I mean, maybe they get a bunch of turnovers and blow them out, but if the Pacers can limit the turnovers, shoot a decent percentage from three, I trust them at the end of the game more than I trust OKC, because OKC's only won one close game the entire playoffs, but it was like a one or 2 point game. That was game 4 against Minnesota. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. But it's been an exciting series, and my major point of the whole entire, even the vastly overrated, and that's been proven correct, is they're minus $8 favorites in the series, and it's basically been a coin toss.
Yep. More on that. A lot of hoops talk coming up. Betting Weekly. Fast break coming your way at 3 o'clock Eastern. It is just after 2 o'clock Eastern. This is Betting Weekly Hardball, part of the Betting Weekly studios under the Bet Rivers umbrella. You could drop us a comment or a question in the YouTube chat, and we will get to them a little bit later. Full slate of games, of course, because it's a Friday, but as Chris mentioned, only one day game, and the only team that routinely plays day games on Friday is the Cubs at home, and that is exactly where we head. At Wrigley Field this afternoon, the Mariners at the Cubs. The Mariners got off to a great start at just a game over 500 now. Cubs 16 over after losing a wild one 8-7 to the Brewers yesterday and splitting that series. Matthew Boyd on the hill for the Cubs. He's been a great signing for them, 6-3 with a 2.79 ERA. We know how talented George Kirby is, but he's been banged up this year, and he's got a 5.96 ERA so far on the season. So, Chris, let's start with this. Is there a play that you like in this game that's about to start in less than 20 minutes?
I kind of lean towards the over here. We got some reports that the wind's blowing out. I saw some gusts up to 20 miles per hour. I saw some reports of 16 miles an hour out to center and left. And we know what happens when the wind blows out at Wrigley during the day. We get fireworks. And we have George Kirby, as you mentioned, coming in, not having a great year, 1-3 with a 5.96 on the road. He's given up 5 home runs in only 25 2/3 innings. So you might want to look at an overplay here. You might go for a home run. A batting average of 333 to left-handed hitters. He's given up 4 home runs, 21 hits, and only 63 at bats to lefties. So, if you're a home run prop better, or, you're looking at a lefty, who's been hotter than PCA, what a year he's having. So I would lean to the over here.
Yep.
I played a little 9.5 minus 120. If you want to just go, Cubs team total, because you figure Boyd's been pitching so well this year for the Cubs, you could go over the Cubs team total 4.5. I play a little sprinkle on total bases, PCA over 1.5, and a little sprinkle on the home run prop plus 304. So we'll see. I think PCA has really been dominating against right-handed pitchers. 304 average, 14 doubles, 2 triples, 15 home runs. Get something going today. Maybe he pops one out.
And to back up what you're saying there, obviously PCA having an MVP type of season so far. He's 2020. This or one of the fastest players ever to get to 2020. And the Cubs overall are 5th in the majors in homers. The Mariners, who are not a huge offensive team, they're 9th. So a decent amount of home run power on both teams. So that to play into the over there, could be a good bet. The Cubs are minus 152. You stay away from that. Too rich for your blood.
Yeah, I'm not a big favorite player in baseball, but I mean, it would have to be Cubs or pass just based on the fact that Kirby just hasn't really got it together yet. I know it's a small sample size since he's been back, but you can't look past the fact that he's given up 5 home runs in only 25 and 2/3 innings on the road with the wind blowing out. So I would be Cubs or pass, but I don't like to play too many big favorites. I know that's not too big a favorite,
right?
But I also don't like to play teams off a loss. Both teams coming off a loss. So I like to look for more of a streak. I'm a streak type of player. If you get a team that's won 2 or 3 in a row, just kind of ride the streak till it runs out.
Well, there are some teams that are on a streak. Actually, let's skip ahead to. I was going to get to the Tigers-Rays next, but we'll go back to that one because I want to talk about the Mets and Phillies. You talk about a team on a streak. The Mets are on a bad streak. They've lost 6 in a row. They're calling up Blade Tidwell to make his second major league start. He got hammered in his first major league start. He has to face Zach Wheeler today. With the way things have been going for the Mets and who's pitching, I know the Phillies are obviously a significant favorite in this game at minus 190, but it's hard to believe the Mets will win this game tonight, although it is baseball, so you never know.
Yeah, it is baseball, but what wow, are they throwing this Tidwell kid, Blade Tidwell, to the Wolves, and he came out with his first appearance, 3 and 2/3, 9 hits, 6 earned runs, a home run, 3 walks too. I mean, he just got completely crushed. And he's going up against the Cy Young candidate, Zach Wheeler, 7 and 2, 2.76, even better at home, 4-1 with a 2.66 ERA at Philadelphia Citizens Bank Park Friday night. In the Mets, like you said, the sky is falling. 6-game losing streak. They're in a world of hurt. Phillies won 2 in a row, so Phillies also excellent at home, 24-13. This would be Phillies or pass. Obviously, you might want to put them in a parlay with another favorite. Get it down. Maybe go with the Phillies and over parlay, as 6 of the last 7 Mets-Phillies games at Citizens Bank Park have gone over the posted total.
I like that. So that could be a good play there. And Zach Wheeler, obviously on the season, he's been phenomenal so far this year. 7-2 with a 2.76 ERA. His last start, I mean, he's had one bad start since early in the season. Gave 6 runs to the Braves back on May the 29th. But you look at his last 2 starts against good offensive teams, the Cubs and the Blue Jays, 12 innings, 7 hits, 1 walk, 3 runs, only 2 earned, and 16 strikeouts. So he's just been fantastic of late. All right, we'll keep it moving here. Tigers at the Rays. Jack Flaherty and Shane Baz in this one. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just saying what's very impressive. Yeah, what's really impressive about Wheeler is that kind of a bandbox at Citizens Bank Park. Yeah. He's got a 2.66 ERA at home, which is really impressive. And I'm liking this Mets losing streak as I don't know if anyone saw the tweet I put out the other day, but I took a little flyer on Braves for the division with Red Sox division in a parlay. Pays like, I don't know, 550 to 1 or something crazy. Yeah. So why not? There's a lot of baseball left. We've seen teams come from way far back. It happened last year. We can see it happen. Last year the Tigers and the Royals made big runs late. So you never know. There's a lot of baseball that we played. We're not even halfway through the season. Crazier things have happened.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Sox are only 5 games out. It's not impossible. I thought the Yankees were playing a little over their skis early in the season. Some of their pitchers, I think, have overachieved. And I don't love their lineup outside of Judge. So, I don't think that's impossible at all. I mean, we got more than half the season to go. So there's plenty of time. I'm with you there. All right, let's get to the next game on the docket. Let's go to the Tigers and the Rays. Jack Flaherty, Shane Baz. Tigers played a doubleheader yesterday. They split that doubleheader. Obviously, they've been the best team in the American League this year. They come into action at 48-28, which is the best record in all of baseball. What are you thinking in this game? Anything?
Well, I'm a big fan of the Tigers. I have them to win the American League from way back in the beginning of the season, which I'm very happy about. I got them to win the division. I just saw them play early in the year, and just really fundamentally sound. They get a great manager. They get the best pitcher in the American League, maybe in all of baseball. But they are coming off a doubleheader, like you mentioned, and they use 8 relievers basically because they use an opener with Ty Holton in the second game. So 8 relievers, that's a lot. And for a guy like Jack Flaherty, who does not go deep in the games, he did have 5 decent starts coming into his last start, but he got absolutely blasted by the Reds. Gave up 3 home runs last time out, and you cannot really rely on him to go more than 5 innings. 6 innings is his max. So I would kind of lead to Tampa Bay here. Although Tampa Bay, they only got 1 run last night, which is not too promising for scoring, but I'm just not a big fan of Flaherty. So it would be Tampa Bay or pass to me. Tigers have to travel off the doubleheader after using 8 relievers. And you figure Tampa's been sitting at home, less travel. Shane Baz, he's been okay, decent at home. 2-1 with a 3.57. One trend, the Tigers are on a 6-game over trend. Games, and they might have to use that bullpen again. So maybe a Tampa lean, maybe an over lean. No play for me at the moment.
All right, we got a message in the YouTube chat from Amish Farmers, a strong gust blowing out to left center field at Wrigley. We talked about that earlier. I don't know if Amish Farmer, you got to let us know. Are you at the game, or are you just reading the same things we're reading on the internet, on Twitter or whatever? I'm curious if Amish Farmer is actually at Wrigley Field and he's taken note of the wind himself, or that's kind of what the reports have been, that it'll be windy, and it's obviously a very different ballpark when it is. Let's get to the next game. I'm gonna jump around here a little bit because we mentioned the Yankees there. They, like the Mets, had a losing streak, but unlike the Mets, they ended their losing streak yesterday. They had lost 6 in a row. Max Fried on the hill, and obviously we know how good he's been this year. Orioles are pass. I see you saying here Yankees too big a favorite with Fried, huh?
I was on the show with Doug earlier in the week, and we were talking about, hey, let's do a parlay with the Yankees, and the other big favorite was Washington over Colorado.
Yeah,
it's hard to lay these prices with the Yankees when they're not hitting the ball at all. And like you said, besides Judge, who is doing anything consistently? They're not a good fielding team. Boone is. I don't know. My brother's a Yankee fan, so I follow them a lot. Also being a Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
Boone seems to be at his wit's end. I'm not sure if he's just frustrated with the players or he's just not making the right calls, but he does a lot of questionable things. It's insane to me that they're minus 278. Now, Sagano for the Orioles isn't too bad of a pitcher. He's 5-4 with a 3.38. 3-2 on the road, 2.85. And also, he last time he faced the Yankees versus this lineup, he scattered only 5 singles and 20 plate appearances. So it's not like he doesn't. It's a small sample size, but he handled himself pretty good. And the Orioles seem to have a little bit of fight in them lately. Put up a bunch of runs against Tampa Bay, even though they blew that 8-0 lead the other night. I would be Orioles or pass on this game. Maybe you look to an under because Fried has pitched so well, but I think the Orioles could come into Yankee Stadium and have a little spark. I mean, you're getting such great value on it for a guy that, maybe it's a 1-1 game in the 8th and the Fried has to come out. I could see the Yankees bats not really hitting much lately besides Judge. And if you pitch around Judge, there's no one else in that lineup that's been very consistent. So I could never lay 280 on a team struggling hitting like this. And I think this Sagano guy has a decent track record against the Yankees. Might be worth a small lean or a small play on the Orioles. That's the only way I could play it.
What's funny about the Orioles right now, Chris, is early in the season, the first 7 weeks or so, people were still overvaluing the Orioles. They were playing terrible baseball, and yet the odds didn't show it yet. And I think now we've gone the opposite way because I think it's 16-34. So the Orioles was 16-34 after they lost the first game of a doubleheader to the Red Sox on May 24th. And I think at that point, we kind of all just wrote off the Orioles as if their season was over. And it's been under the radar. But since then, they've gone 16-8. I mean, they've won 2/3 of their games in the last roughly month since that first game of the doubleheader. So right now the Orioles are playing much better baseball. I understand that overall their pitching has some question marks, but the bats have started to do what we expected them to do early in the year. And yeah, so I'm with you. I'm surprised they're this big an underdog.
Yeah, I mean, the bats, like you mentioned, Orioles, when they're clicking, they have one of the best offenses in baseball last
Yeah.
year, the year before. I mean, they have, big hitters throughout the lineup, both sides of the plate. And Yankee Stadium plays small a lot. And I know Fried's been on fire, especially at home, but I could never lay that number. And I think when you sometimes find a team that's undervalued, like you said, or that's been on a losing trend, you get them at these great prices. And then if you can keep riding them, like the Angels the other day when they won the first three versus the Yankees,
Yeah.
you just ride the trend of the win. Doesn't matter who's pitching. It's just baseball. It's just the way it goes.
Right.
It's a game of streaks. We see it all the time.
All right, let's talk about your hometown team, the Red Sox. They take on the Giants, and of course, they just traded Rafael Devers. The Red Sox did to the Giants less than a week ago, and now his former teammates, who maybe you're not so happy, maybe you're not so unhappy that he was traded away, get to face him. Hunter Dobbins, Hayden Birdsong, not the most exciting pitching matchup on the face of the earth, but it should be an interesting game to watch. Is there anything you like to bet on in this game?
I'm interested to see what the reaction is with the players. Like, I mean, It was such a unceremoniously, like the way he left, it was just people are like, up in arms about it. There's a lot of GMs complaining that Devers was this and that. A lot of people were in Devers camp saying they treated him with disrespect, bringing in Bregman without talking to him first. So it's just a weird dynamic. When they signed him, I thought the contract was ridiculous to give him that much money for an overweight guy that's a terrible fielder. But I mean, he is one of the top 5 hitters in baseball. So we're out from under the contract. I wish he was still on the team. It's one of those back and forths because they were just getting hot at the right time, and then they trade their best hitter. So I'm looking at a strikeout prop. This Hunter Birdsong, he has 51 Ks in 48 innings. He has 26 Ks in 25 innings at home. And the Red Sox, as we all know, strike out almost more than anyone else in baseball. 704 Ks this year, third only to the Rockies and the Angels. So I'm looking at Hunter Birdsong, over 5.5 strikeouts at minus 135. If you want to go a little higher, you can a little ladder it up. 6.5 get you plus 145. I think there's potential for the Red Sox to have a bunch of strikeouts tonight. There's a lot of rookies in this lineup.
Yep.
And it could be an under type of game too. The ball doesn't seem to jump out of this park. We all know that in San Francisco, especially at the night game. So it's a low total, 7.5. I don't want to really get in front of the Red Sox just because they have been hot. They're off. They got 2 out of 3 against Seattle. They've won 4 series in a row. So I wouldn't want to lay the price with the San Fran Giants, but I would like to look at the K prop with Birdsong just because he's been so prevalent striking out batters.
All right, next game we got for you folks, the Nats and the Dodgers. This is an interesting pitching matchup in L.A. tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern start. Mackenzie Gore, who overall has been great, one of the few bright spots on the Nats, and speaking of streaks, they ended their 11-game losing streak with a walk-off win yesterday. Clayton Kershaw, who obviously has missed a lot of the last 2 years and got off to a bad start when he came off the injured list. All of a sudden, in his last 2 starts, he's looked a lot better. 12 innings, 12 Ks, 1 walk, 9 hits, and just 1 earned run. I know you have a note here on Mackenzie Gore, who has struggled against the Dodgers, but again, overall, he's pitched really well. What do you think of this game tonight?
My original take on this game was, and I mentioned this to you off air, is when the Red Sox or Yankees play each other, or Padres and Dodgers, or Dodgers and Giants, and you have that big emotional series, I look to fade the team coming off that emotional series. And even though it is Washington, I kind of look to Washington here, plus the 170 or 175 if you can find it a little bit better. The one thing that makes me a little worried is Gore. Even though he has a 2.89 ERA, he's just been really rough against the Dodger hitters. Betts 3 for 6, Conforto 2 for 2, Freeman 4 for 7, Ohtani 3 for 6, Teoscar Hernandez 2 for 6, Kike 3 for 7, and most of these guys have gone deep against him already in their career. So, that's the heart of their lineup. I'm not sure if that's going to translate tonight. Kershaw, on the other hand, yes, he's pitched good of late, but at home, only 15 and 2/3 innings. He's given up 10 runs, 8 earned, 2 home runs, and 7 walks. So, maybe this is an over game. There's been a lot of runs scored at Dodger Stadium this year, but I don't know. I would lean a little bit just on a spot play due to the emotional edge of the game last night. Everyone saw the benches clear.
Yep.
After Tatis got hit, then they hit Ohtani. So I just think it's an emotional letdown this game, and I would lean towards Washington, even though Gore struggled against the Dodger lineup.
And the Nats now plus 175 at Bet Rivers, so that's changed there. Again, that game starts at 10:10 Eastern time. The White Sox and the Blue Jays, again, the trend of streaks. The White Sox have lost 8 in a row. So obviously, the White Sox are back to looking as bad as they were last year. And in the they lost a doubleheader to the Cardinals yesterday. In that second game, they were down 6-0. They rallied to tie it on a grand slam by Andrew Benintendi, and then they still lost the game in extra innings. So what's the play here?
Yeah, it has to be Toronto or pass. But the problem is you can't really trust this Turnbull that is starting for Toronto. He's only pitched, he's only pitched like 58 innings in the last 2 years. He's only pitched 4 1/3 innings this year. So he's just, kind of a glorified middle reliever. He has started in the past, but he hasn't had much success as a starter. You're laying minus 200 with Toronto, but obviously you can't play the White Sox on an 8-game losing streak. Not to mention the White Sox are a dreadful 7-31 on the road. So this is just a Toronto or pass. I'm not going to be involved in this game. The White Sox are running out Davis Martin 1-5 with a 4.62 ERA. Just a stay away game for me. If you're a parlay player, maybe you put Toronto in a money line parlay, but I really can't trust that the starter they're rolling out. So looks like an opener type game for Toronto. And like you said, the White Sox bats have been going okay, even though they just, they're struggling in the rotation.
Signed up for the newsletter at bettingweeklystudios.com for weekly betting tips, soccer previews, tennis brackets, breakdowns, and a whole lot more. Make sure you check that out. Cubs and Mariners underway at Wrigley Field. The first batter of the game is out. J.P. Crawford grounds out facing Matthew Boyd. So we'll keep an eye on that game while we're still with you here. Second batter up, 1 out, and nobody on. So Amish Farmer has not sent another message to discuss whether he's actually at the game or not. But let's go rapid fire, Chris, around the rest of the games on the docket today that we haven't touched on, and if there's anything that might be worth jumping on. The Rangers and Pirates at 6:40. Jacob deGrom, we know whenever he's healthy, he's great. He's back to his old form with a 2.19 ERA. The strikeouts, he has 80 Ks so far on the season in 82 1/3 innings. So the strikeout rate is obviously not his old self, but still 2.19 ERA and an 0.91 whip is pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, the only thing I could look to there is an under. The Pirates, although they did put up some runs last night.
Yep.
And got the split versus Detroit. I figured once Bednar was coming in for the Pirates in the 9th inning that it was going to be lights out for Pittsburgh. That Bednar has been, he's been tough to watch over the past couple of years. He hasn't reverted back to his old self. But the Pirates usually don't score many runs, and the Rangers, for some reason, do you have any idea what's going on with this lineup? These guys are supposed to be stud lineup, and they just cannot hit. They can't put up any runs. They just got swept by the Royals at home. It's been a perplexing situation, and I know one of our producers, Max, that's his team, and he's as perplexed as I am. I just don't understand what's going on with the Rangers team.
You thought that would be a strength, and I'll tell you what, it felt like about 2 weeks ago that they were finally starting to hit. Right, they swept it. They had won 3 games in a row against Washington and Minnesota. They scored a ton of runs. They lost 1 game, and then they won another 4 in a row. Not all high-scoring games, but it felt like they were starting to get there. Finding their way offensively. Semion's been better lately after a bad start, but as you said, swept by the Royals. They scored 5 runs in that series, and now all of a sudden they've only scored 7 runs in their last 4 games. So yeah, Corey Seager's been hurt. Semion's getting old. Jock Peterson, who's now hurt, was a disaster, coming off maybe his best year ever last year. And some of their young guys haven't taken that step forward that I think a lot of us thought they would take. They've been snake bit this year. In spite of that, though, they're only 3 games under 500. So there's still plenty of time to turn it around. But I'm with you. It's shocking how bad their offense has been.
Yeah, they brought in Brett Boone as the hitting coach. It's just shocking to watch a Bochy team struggle like this. Bochy's great. Been fortunate to meet the guy a few times. Not one to be afraid to knock back a few pints.
Yeah.
Great baseball manager, Hall of Famer, World Series champ many times over. Just kind of shocking to watch, a lineup that you expected to rake, just not raking at all. So I would look only to the under in that game. Pirates, it's tough to bet the Pirates, especially against DeGrom.
Cal Raleigh just hit his 28th home run of the year, which is insane. Mariners lead the Cubs 1-0. They're going to the bottom of the first. So now the Cubs, who are, I believe, minus 150, are minus 122. Would you make do anything now that it's 1-0 Mariners? Anything you like at the moment, or no change for you?
I don't have the screen in front of me. Was the home run just a blast, or was it wind blown, or do you have any info on that?
He hit it to center field. I could tell you that, but I didn't actually see it, so I can't tell you that. But
I like it for our over because it's nice to see one go out of the yard early, even though he is a big home run hitter. But I wouldn't be why not? If you like the Cubs before the game, you're getting them at a reduced price now, and they haven't even got up yet. So if you haven't played the Cubs yet, I wouldn't be against putting a little bit on the Cubs at a reduced price. Yep.
All right, another game that we'll take a look at that we haven't mentioned: 7:10 start, Braves and Marlins. This is about as unsexy a pitching matchup, which is not fair. Didier Fuentes will be making his major league debut for the Braves, so that's kind of cool. The guy's only 20 years old. In fact, he'll be celebrating his 21st birthday in 1 week. And then journeyman bullpenner Jansen Junk will be throwing some junk up there for the Marlins. This feels like a stay-away game. What say you?
Yeah, I'm surprised the line isn't a little higher for the Braves. I thought it was a little light, so that made me pause a little bit. And I think this Fuentes is now the youngest player in baseball under Roman Anthony after Roman Anthony came in 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, I mean, you don't really know what you're going to get out of a 20-year-old kid in his major league debut, but you can't play the Marlins. They're one of the worst teams in baseball. There might be a few thousand fans there because Braves travel pretty well, but how many Marlins fans are going to be in the building? Are there any Marlins fans, Adam?
No, not many. I don't think there will. By the way, Amish Farmer chimes in again. He says he likes Fuentes at 5+ strikeouts at plus 115. What do you think of that? You with him on that one?
Oh, I don't know. I have to do a little bit more research on Fuentes. Is he? I'm not really familiar with him. I just saw the line, and I go, something's a little off here. And it wasn't one of the games where I wasn't going to. So I didn't really think he has that high a strikeout prop. He must be a strikeout pitcher to have that high of a prop in your major league debut.
So first of all, he started this season in A ball. Pitched 13 innings in A ball, then 21 innings in Double A, and he had only made one appearance at Triple A before getting the call up. So in total in the minors this year, I mean, he's only pitched 185 innings total in the minors, including when he was 17 in the Dominican Summer League. But this year, he's pitched 39 innings between A, Double A, and Triple A, and he has 48 strikeouts. Now, he's given up a lot of runs. He's given up 21 earned runs in 39 innings, so that's obviously not good. But the strikeouts, in his minor league career, he has 223 strikeouts in 185 innings. But most of those are in A ball or below. So obviously he's a strikeout pitcher, but who knows if it'll translate.
Well, pitchers like this get me excited. It gets me, thinking back to one of my favorite pitchers of all time, Pedro Martinez. So maybe we have a Pedro Martinez situation, coming up from Dominican Republic at such a young age, like Pedro did. So I'll be definitely checking this guy out tonight. That's exciting.
Speaking of young pitchers coming up and being impressive, Jacob Mizorowski made his major league debut a week ago and pitched 5 no-hit innings before leaving with an injury. He was supposed to pitch against the Cubs yesterday, but his start got pushed back a day with the rain out 2 days ago. He'll pitch in Minnesota against an excellent pitcher in Joe Ryan. Joe Ryan may be the most underrated good pitcher, under-the-radar good pitcher in the league. Both teams, Brewers 5 games over 500. Twins are at 500, but better at home. It's an interesting game to keep an eye on. You like anything there?
Well, I've noticed that Minnesota seems to have a tough time scoring the first 3 innings of the game. They're just a very. I'm not a big. I don't play a lot of these first 3 inning things, but maybe you look to a first 5 under as both pitchers. How long are they gonna push the rookie? Probably 5 innings. And like you mentioned, Ryan has been excellent, especially at home. So Minnesota seems to struggle scoring early. I might look at a first 5 under in this game because you don't want to trust these bullpens, as we've seen all year long. As soon as they come in, fireworks happen. Games continue to go over late, and you get a lot of bad beats. So I tend to try to look for the first 5 when I find 2 pitches I really like. Even if you have to pay a tax, it's at 3.5. It's sometimes worth it, so you don't have to deal with the bullpens.
All right. Well, if you took the Cubs or you took the over, you're feeling decent right now. In the we told you the Mariners got a Cal Raleigh home run, which I just saw. He barely got it out. I mean, he had a home run, but it wasn't an absolute crush shot. Well, in the bottom of the first, Ian Happ just went yard, also to center field, also just past the fence. It wasn't like it was across the street. Then Kyle Tucker singled. Then Seiya Suzuki doubled. So the Cubs it's 1-1. The Cubs have second and third, and now 1 out. Pete Crow Armstrong, for one of the rare times this year, did not come through. He popped up. So it's 1-1, bottom of the first. Cubs second and third, 1 out with Dansby Swanson at the plate. So this game right now has the feel of could be one of those wild days at Wrigley, and we saw it yesterday with an 8-7 game. Could be a fun one.
It's nice when you have those games and you're paying attention and you can live over it. And it just, next thing you know, it's 11-10 in the 8th inning, and you're just collecting paychecks the whole way through the game.
That's right.
You just got to be paying attention. That's one of these things, especially if you're live betting. Just pay attention to the game. Just be on top of it. And just, if you're going to be a live bettor, you just there's so many opportunities in these games, especially when you have a chance to middle back the other way. Just make sure you're on top of it, because there is so many opportunities to make money.
Well, it's funny because you said, because the Cubs opened at -150, and then after the top of the first, it was -120, and you just said, if you like the Cubs, you should take them here because they haven't even gotten up yet. And you go to Bet Rivers right now, the Cubs are -250. So, I mean, if you were going to bet them, hopefully you bet them at -120 and didn't wait till they tied the game here. All right, a couple other games here real quick. We've got the Reds-Cardinals at 7:15 Eastern. Brady Singer and Andre Palante. Diamondbacks-Rockies at 8:40 Eastern. Zach Gallen and Austin Gomber. Astros and Angels at 9:40. Very good pitching matchup there. Hunter Brown, Yusei Kikuchi. Anything in those 3 games? We know the Rockies. You could say, the Rockies are playing much better. They're 8-8 in their last 16, which for them is fantastic. Anything Reds-Cardinals, Diamondbacks-Rockies, or Astros-Angels?
The Astros-Angels game kind of caught my attention just because the Angels had to fly back from New York after that rain-delayed game yesterday. So, they've been on the road for a bit. So maybe this is one of those spots where they get back and, the Astros are sitting there waiting for them, and they just get blasted. Although Kikuchi has pitched better of late. So, I don't know. I would probably lean Astros. The Astros have been on fire. They've been on fire this month. They lead most wins in June. If anyone's involved in that market, I have Tampa, who's 1 back. So, I'm actually rooting for the Astros to lose. So I'm probably not going to be on them tonight because I'm trying to sneak that Tampa Rays most wins in June at 28-1 in for the for the cash. But we'll see. Those markets are so tough. Usually comes down to the last 2 days, and there's 3 or 4 teams all fighting for it. So. Very exciting sweat if you can get down on that someplace.
Amish farmer confirms he's not at Wrigley Field. He is actually on his farm in Pennsylvania. We got the Royals-Padres on Apple TV tonight, 9:40 Eastern. Michael Lorenzen and Nick Pivetta. The Guardians and the Athletics, 10:05 Eastern in Sacramento. Tanner Bybee and Jeffrey Springs. Those are our last 2 games. Anything for either of those?
I tend to lean the Royals. Royals coming off a 3-game sweep of Texas, like we mentioned earlier. And again, the emotional factor of the Dodgers-Padres series that just ended with bench-clearing brawls and guys getting hit, and the Padres with an emotional win last night. It's just a letdown spot for the Padres coming back to San Diego. hey, the Royals won 3 in a row. We saw what they did last year. They made a nice run, got the wild card. Maybe they can do it again. They're only a game under 500. They have
Yep.
decent hitting, but they sometimes just can't get the runs across. They're not very clutch. They're not really clutch with men on scoring position. The one thing that gives me pause is that Lorenzen, who's pitching for the Royals, has given up 14 home runs and 14 starts. So I'll have to take a look there. Maybe you find a home run prop for the Padres, one of their left-handed batters. We'll see. I would just tend to lean Kansas City off a nice 3-game winning streak, and then the Padres off the emotional letdown of the Dodgers series. You can get a nice plus price on Kansas City, plus 135 or higher.
All right, folks. Well, hopefully we've given you some good winners for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thanks to Monzo and Z for producing today. Betting Weekly Fast Break coming your way in about 25 minutes. We'll be back on Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern with Betting Weekly Hardball. For Chris, I'm Adam. We'll see you next time. Later, everybody.